If we look at optimism, we talk about 75% almost of Palestinians are either very optimistic or very pessimistic. And similarly, when we go into level of concern, we see for the July survey, about 70 or to 80% of Palestinians are either extremely concerned or concerned to some extent. This buggled me a lot over many times, so I decided one day to ask, if you're so optimistic, what is the reason for your optimism? And the majority used to say, because we feel the right is on our side. That's why, yes, we are optimistic, we are concerned, we are worried, but we are optimistic that the future will be good for us. Now, as I am asked to talk about peace, peace is associated highly with the organization, the political organization, institution you support most. To me, if you can see here, this graph represents about 70 to 80,000 people. It's a monthly survey question. We ask which faction or you trust most. As you can see, in January 2006, that's when Hamas took. That was 2 days before the elections. Before the elections, we had 41% of the Palestinians said we trust Hamas most. 38% said they trusted Fatah most, and we have only 13% who were non-aligned, quote unquote. If you look now in July 2010, Hamas, this is the green, Hamas is now only 7%, whereas Fatah remained almost the same. But to me, and look here at this figure, this number, 45% nowadays as opposed to 13% 3 or 4 years ago. You see a big increase in the percentage of people who don't trust either Fatah or Hamas. Now, if elections happens nowadays, who do we think we will win? I think still Hamas nowadays will win. And you see, how can it be? Because those 48% that I see here are they are mainly, their profile is closer to Hamas than it is to Fatah. And those people, or those 45%, while they support peace as a strategy, they are afraid that ideologically they are closer to Hamas in terms of identification with religion, but in terms of peace, they are very pragmatic. They want peace, but they say if Fatah is failing from achieving peace, then how can we keep on supporting it? So nowadays, I think these people, the 46% or half the Palestinian population, they will probably be very skeptical about Fatah. Another point I need to say, which I strongly believe in, is that Fatah is not a single unit, single entity like Hamas. I think while some may look at Fatah as being fragmented, I look at Fatah, although I'm not Fatah, I look at Fatah as being pluralistic. Fatah is highly pluralistic. Its pluralism will make it very difficult to be able to attract a lot of votes at one stage. And that's why I think Hamas will probably, Fatah will lose. But to go back in terms of the Palestinian public, while they are still the majority identifying with Islam, they have a religious identity, still the majority believe that the Fatah strategy is a better strategy for maximizing Palestinian national interest. And that's the main point I would stress, that within the Palestinian society, the majority, although they might vote for Hamas, but in terms of the peace part, negotiations part, they are much more for peace as a strategy towards ending the conflict than with the counterpart with Hamas, who has a more violent, let's say, viewpoint. Now, to go into specifically the Palestinian-Israeli relations, now we know who are the Palestinians, what they are, how they think. Regarding peace, it is very, if we put actually Tamar's graph and we put it on the Palestinian graph, we see that they're almost all same, except what I see, there is a slight downward trend in support for peace, for a peace settlement. Nowadays, we have about 60% of Palestinians in July 2010 who say we support a peace settlement with Israel. This used to be much higher, by the way, as I said. It was in the 70s, sometimes it reached 77, 80, and so forth. But nonetheless, there is a slight downward trend. But the question about do you support peace or not is by itself simply, people will say, yeah, peace at what stage? So I ask normally another question which is more provocative. The question we ask, would you think, we ask the Palestinians, do you think that Hamas should maintain its position vis-a-vis Israel, to maintain its position? And as you can see, on average, more than 65%, about 65% of the Palestinians do believe that Hamas should change its position vis-a-vis the existence of Israel. So here again, the majority of Palestinians do believe that in the peace part, in the peace element of the Israeli-Palestinian issue.